In the November 1st, 1999 Watchtower, there was an article, a Questions from Readers article about voting. At the time, in 1999, I was still an active witness. I had been all my life, and this article was actually quite surprising to me. I wasn't surprised by the overall tone of the article, which displayed, a negative view of voting in political elections. But I was surprised at some of the things the article said. Basically, it made it sound as if the decision of whether or not a witness would vote in political elections was up to the individual. I want to read a few lines. I'll tell you the paragraph. I want to read a few lines out of that article so you can see why I found it surprising. Okay. In paragraph 2 of the Questions from Readers article in the November 1st, 1999 Watchtower, it says, as to whether they personally will vote for someone running in an election, each one of Jehovah's Witnesses makes a decision based on his Bible-trained conscience and an understanding of his responsibility to God and to the state. In paragraph 8, this is just part of a sentence, but it makes its point clear. In many lands, Jehovah's Witnesses make a personal decision not to vote in political elections. I'm going to read that again since I messed up. In many lands, Jehovah's Witnesses make a personal decision not to vote in political elections. In paragraph 12, another piece of a sentence, it says, in matters of individual conscience, such as this, referring to voting in political elections. And in the last paragraph, 13, it says, whatever personal decisions Jehovah's Witnesses make. Now, again, the way I had grown up, Jehovah's Witnesses just don't vote. You don't vote for president, you don't vote for mayor, you don't vote for a school board member. No political election voting. If you did, you could be disfellowshipped. So that article was really a surprise for me. But it wasn't as much of a surprise as something that happened a few months later. We had the circuit overseer's visit. A man named Wendell Lord, very nice guy, soft-spoken, pleasant. And if I remember correctly, it was a meeting for field service. He gave a little talk about this article. And the reason he did this, he said, was because there had been some confusion as to the meaning of the article. That, in fact, it did not mean Jehovah's Witnesses were permitted to vote in political elections. That article was saying that if someone lives in a country in which it is legally required that everyone vote in a political election, they were allowed to go into a voting booth and fill out a ballot. But even then, they were supposed to somehow make the ballot invalidated. The same would be true if a woman's husband insisted she go to the polls. That she would go into the polls, take a ballot, fill it out, but somehow invalidate the ballot. And he made it clear, the circuit overseer made it clear, that if one of Jehovah's Witnesses were to participate, actually participate, not fill out a ballot and invalidate it, but actively participate, go to the polls and vote for someone in a political election, they would still be disfellowshipped. Now, this is strange for a couple of reasons. One is the article itself, and, if you're a witness and you have the CD-ROM or the bound volumes, I encourage you to read it. Even though it does take a negative view of voting, it does not say what that circuit overseer said it says. And in fact, I want to read something else. This is out of paragraph 9, and it would seem it addresses the exact situation that circuit overseer was addressing, but it seems to directly contradict him. It says, where Caesar makes it compulsory for citizens to vote, witnesses can go to the polls and enter the voting booth. It is here that they are called upon to mark the ballot or write in what they stand for. The voters do what they will with their ballots. So here in the presence of God is where his witnesses must act in harmony with his commandments and in accordance with their faith. And here's the important line. It is not our responsibility to instruct them on what to do with the ballot. So, essentially, the circuit overseer was saying that not only was this article not intending for witnesses in general to feel they could go and vote in a political election, but that it was telling people in lands where voting is legally required, or women whose husbands are forcing them to vote, that they could go to the poll and they could fill out the ballot, but they were supposed to invalidate it somehow. This was shocking to me because it seemed as if this circuit overseer was essentially unwilling to accept what the society had said. I was a witness for a few years after that. I stopped associating in, I believe it was 2002 or 2003. So there could be some publication that deals with this afterward. If you know of one, that was printed after November of 1999, feel free to quote that. But as far as I know, that's never been repealed. They've never changed what they said in that article. They've never, as far as I'm aware, they've never published another article saying we were misunderstood and witnesses are now thinking they can vote if their conscience permits them to. So my question for Jehovah's Witnesses is, if a member of the congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, a baptized witness, were to decide to vote in a political election, would they be disfellowshipped for it? And if the answer is yes, they would be disfellowshipped for it, where does that authority come from as far as Watchtower publications? Is that I just read to you the last word, or has something else been published?